Today is a call-in episode, and I think someone's early. So we're going to take the call. Good morning. This is Abbie, and you are live on the Tea with Abbie show. May I ask who is calling?
Good morning. My name is Natasha Munoz.
Hi, Natasha. How are you this morning?
I'm great. Woke up good.
Hey, that's what it's all about. Well, thank you so much for calling into our podcast show. We have been spending the last several weeks discussing what it's like to be someone starting out a venture from scratch and creating something out of nothing. And today's call-in show is to answer questions from you. What is your question today?
So, like you said, I'm starting out. This is only about my third week with my business.
Okay.
But I've been getting some inquiries, but nothing really serious. So my question is, I want to get serious inquiries with customers who really, trust my work and want to make an impact on the environment, because I want to do sustainable event planning. And in my area, not a lot of people are really, aware of that or really looking for that. So, I'm not sure, how do I target those people or those customers that really want to work with me, since I don't have, an extensive portfolio.
Right. So let me just understand your business thoroughly. You do sustainable event planning, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what kinds of events?
So social and eventually corporate.
Cool.
Right now I'm just doing small events, so baby showers, birthdays, just small things like that to build my portfolio. But eventually I want to do corporate events, meetings, conferences.
Right. And why being a sustainable event planner, why is that important to you?
Sustainability recently has been a passion of mine. I've really gotten into being an environmentalist and things like that. So I really want to include that into my my services, because that is something I'm passionate about and something I want to spread awareness about.
Awesome. So talk to me about the value proposition, right? So what are the main reasons why people usually go with an event planner to begin with? Never mind a sustainable one, just like event planner to begin with. What's your major value props?
So I'd say to relieve the stress of, getting everything together, an event planner usually has certain vendors or, key contacts for those, looking to create an event. It's just an easier way to, I guess,
Yeah.
go about it.
Yeah, exactly. And then being sustainable, what value does your customer get from creating an event that's just sustainable, not just a regular old event?
Oh yeah, so so with the sustainable event, you create less waste, and we reuse and upcycle, things that resources that I already have, like decorations or just only materials and things like that. So nothing. My goal eventually, I've done a couple events, but they weren't, sustainability is practice. It's not perfect. So I want to eventually, use decorations or materials and things that I already have, or things that I can make on my own that won't really impact the environment in a negative way, or create more waste.
So the it's not, it just doesn't, it feels good to reuse and recycle and be sustainable, and it also feels good for your customer's wallet, right?
Exactly.
Amazing.
And also, it makes it consciously, it's at least to me, it's more soothing, if that makes sense. I don't know if that's the right word. But, knowing that I'm using things that won't harm the environment in the future, or now.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was so clear. Thank you so much for answering all those questions. What I was trying to get at is I wanted to just hear you talk about something that you're obviously very passionate about. And with something like sustainability, the world is becoming more available to hear and adopt these newer concepts, such as sustainable events. And so I think what you need to do here is tell two stories. One, you need to tell the story of the why it's important for you, because people who will buy your service are connected to you. They're buying it for you, right? The passion that you have to create these green events, if you will. That's going to be the first reason why they're buying. And then the second reason is how you make them feel connected to the cause as well. So, that maybe is a small educational piece in your marketing materials where, you give them data on how much waste is produced at an event where people don't think about how to reuse and recycle. And maybe you can provide little bits of micro education for them to see, okay, if you put your money here, we can actually do XYZ with it because we're doing it in a much sustainable way. So you can show them how they can save money and stretch their dollar. So you're going to hook them first through them saying, oh, my wallet is going to love this. And then after they start to see that benefit, then they start to get connected to the emotional reasons behind it, which is what, you're bringing to the table at all times. And that's going to get them excited and want to, oh, okay, like I understand, I see this. They want to get passionate about it. And then I think there's also a third piece here, which is like, that's a hot thing to do right now, create sustainability and lean into being one of the first out there to start doing this, and lean into this idea that like, hey, everybody, this is the future. This is the way things are going. And like, jump on board, be a part of the change. It's happening now. Don't wait till everybody's having sustainable events. Like, be part of this movement of taking care of our home, our earth. But that's a great question. So in practical terms, I would say you need a marketing presentation for your customer that's really visual and has some data and some graphs on, the cause and effect of having a sustainable event. And then I think you need to create and get really clear on the story you tell on the why you love to do it. Why you. And those are the two things that I think are going to help you start to connect to the people who say, hey, that value is something I share. I care about this also. And I see that she cares about this so much. And together we're going to just create this unbelievable event. And yeah. And yeah. And the universe works in the way, that when you start to get very clear and speak about what it is that you want, and you start to make materials about what you do, and you start to put those things out there, the right people start to make their way towards you.
I believe that, yes.
Yeah. So let's see, if you're, you create all these marketing materials, in the first place you go to look for customers. Like where are you finding your customers right now?
Mainly just on Instagram right now. That's all I have with like a business page.
Yeah.
I also like have another job, so I try to make most.
Of course.
On Instagram at the moment, but I wanna.
You're making it work.
A lot of people have told me to create a website and create Facebook and things and that like that, but I'm just right now, like, I've been getting some inquiries, but nothing serious, because I don't think people understand what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. Well, I think you can accomplish what you need without a website at the moment. I think that if you have you have a really great Instagram page up where you're putting content about who you are as an event planner, you're putting content out about sustainability itself, so all the different data points that you have for that, and then you're also putting out what you are creating. So whether it's packages or specific things on your menu of services, right? So those are the three things you should be sharing on your platform: who you are and why you do it, all about the science behind what you do, essentially, right? The credibility points, and then your actual service itself. And if you also create some supplemental materials, when someone you're connecting with on Instagram, maybe you connected through the hashtag sustainability party or whatever hashtags are related to your industry. Yeah. And then, you get on the DM, you share an email, and then you can email them any materials that you have created, like a menu, informational pamphlets. So I think you can get far before you need to spend money and get a website and do all these things. I feel confident that you sound resourceful and you sound like you've got it. You can figure this out. I think having an engaging Instagram page and connecting through people through the topics of recycling, sustainability, going green, searching through Instagram for these communities of people who are passionate about that, getting in there and just starting to talk about like, oh wow, I'm trying to find a better waste solution at my weddings, and start, you never know where people might come from. They might be like, oh my God, my sister's getting married and she's looking for a green event planner. Like, yeah. Was that helpful?
Yeah, yes, very helpful. I was just taking notes, and I really, my only, this it's not really an issue, but I need to get better with it, is like Instagram. I only know like the basics of it. I know, like, I see all these pages that are so nice and like very put together, and that's the, I want to create like an aesthetically pleasing feed too.
Right.
But I don't, like, I'm just like starting out, so I don't know what to post since I don't have like events to post or things like that. So, but what you said, like, about the, like, sustainability, like, like facts or like data and things like that, I'm gonna look more into that actually and see. That's a really good tip, because I feel like people need to know like the why.
Right.
Basically.
Right. And if you're still developing your menu of services, that's okay. Start small. Okay, this is what I'm doing now. And what does this look like? It looks like an hour-long consulting session, and then I'm in person at your event, whatever you call that. Okay, so there's your first package, and then you just start talking about who you are and why you do it, all of the resources behind you that back up your why, and then if you kind of put it out there of like, hey, Instagram viewer, if you believe in this too, this is what I do. This is how much it costs. This is what I can, what service I value. What services you could value in me is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for calling in. And why don't we give you a little plug on the air if you want to say your name and your business name one more time.
Natasha Munoz, and my business name is Echo Agent.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for calling in. It was so fun to talk with you.
Thank you, Abigail.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye. Well, we got right to it. That just came in like a freight train. I didn't even get to give you an intro of what was going on today. So essentially today's a call-in, ask some questions. I have some questions here. I'm expecting one more caller. But the theme is questions, right? Because we live in the world our questions create. So the things we ask, the things we go out to seek answers to, that's the world that we're creating around us. And I think through this journey of starting Blended Sense this year, we've been learning that unanswered questions aren't threats. They are challenges and catalysts. And I think we have another caller. Let's find out. Hello. This is Abbie, and you are on the Tea with Abbie show. May I ask who's calling?
Hey, Abbie. Yes, this is Lillian Hartman calling, Capital Factory Front Desk.
Oh, hi, Lillian. It is so great to hear from you.
Yeah, I just had a quick question for you.
Okay.
I was wanting to know, how you deal with, being stressed, being a female founder, and how you deal with, all the different more male-dominated environments that you tend to be in.
That is such a great question, Lily, and thank you so much. So I have to admit, I was doing a pretty bad job at this. In the last like 6 weeks specifically, I was balancing both the passion that I hustle for, which is acting, um, and then I also teach kickboxing, and I also do a lot of other couple side gigs. And meanwhile, we're bringing this baby to life, which is kind of a 24-hour, 7 days a week scenario. And then I have a house and a dog and a husband and all these things to take care of. I can't even believe what it would be like if I had kids. But at the moment, it's just our small little family. But yeah, so I was feeling super depressed last week. I'll be honest. I definitely suffer with some mental health, and it's constantly part of how I take care of myself every day. And when I don't take care of myself, it gets too much. And for me, what I experience is this sort of feeling of like, I don't have any conviction. I don't have any like, oh, yeah, I can do this. I lose any sort of connection to my purpose and my why. And I just feel like a big dark rain cloud. And it's frustrating because I'm still happy, I'm still excited, and I still love all the things that are going on in my life, but I just feel drained. So for me, the best way to cure that and the counter for it is to get physical. So when in doubt, action is the antidote to despair. One of my favorite Joan Baez quotes. And basically, I take that literal. For me, that means I need to get moving. I need to get sweating. I have to do some meditation. I have to do yoga. I love taking Epsom salt baths. I need to dance, but basically I got to get the blood pumping, the body moving, and start to shift physically to a new space before I can mentally shift into that space. And so when it becomes too stressful, taking a nice big deep breath and reminding myself that I didn't work out this morning, and that's probably why. It's as simple as that, and I don't need to freak out. But I also have two other founders to rely on, and I think that they have been a big part of managing all the pieces of the puzzle going around and around and around. We can rely on each other. We can pick up the slack when the other person needs a bit of help, and it's wonderful for stress. So Georgie, I love you guys. That was so much fun. 2 callers. Let's see if anybody else calls in. I do have some written questions in from a couple of our supporters, and so I think I'll answer those, and then we'll see if anybody else calls. Let's go for it. Okay. So this question is from Becky, way in the Northeast, and Becky asks, how do you plan to maintain gender equality in your workspace, culture, and pay? It's a great question. And I think kind of one of the reasons why I am in the position I am in is because this is important to me. And so how do we maintain gender equality in our workspace, culture, and pay? So first and foremost, we set out to establish the values that our business is based around, and equality is written right into our values. It's our second value, empathy being first. I think having empathy as our first value brings equality to our culture because it's the quality of listening and hearing the other person's out, hearing their thoughts, and giving them full value that you give yourself. So equality is second in that we are all equal in value. We are all equal in experience from wherever we have just come from, whatever walk of life we're coming to the table to sit at. When we're seated at this table, we're all of the same value. The pendulum has been pretty far to one particular side of the hiring spectrum, if you will. And we all know that it looks like and it sounds like and it acts like the same. And it's been that way for a while. And so in order to get the pendulum to eventually come to the center, we got to pull it pretty far to the other side and allow that natural momentum to start to take place so that it does become equal. So while the goal is equality, let's call it 50-50. If we're saying it's 50 men, 50 women, that's one way of putting it. But to me, it's a much more homogenous mishmash of all kinds of people. But to get it to that beautiful stew, we have to disrupt the balance, which means we have to go heavy and hard on being vocal about who we want to hire and what we stand for and what kinds of qualities that the people we hire bring in. So that does mean we're going out and being very intentional about saying we are looking for women DPs. We are looking for other kinds of people. Like we need, we're looking for minorities. We're looking for some non-binary folk. We don't have any Latinas in our space. We need to get some Latinas editors in here. And I think it's important to be vocal and intentional about saying, this is the demographic we need to have in our space because their ideas, their experiences, and what they bring to the table are going to strengthen what we're creating, because we want to have a rich, well-rounded product, right? We're not just trying to serve one kind of person. So therefore, one kind of person can't be making this. And you have to say, I need to go hire this kind of person, and this kind of person, because I want the results of my product to attract all kinds of people, not just the same. So you have to take that pendulum, you have to bring it over here. You have to be vocal and loud about who you're bringing into your workplace and why. How do you maintain that going on? And in pay, well, we have full transparency. All of our pay, it's the same rates, whether you're a man or you're a woman, whoever you are. It's all based off of experience and equipment, and we're transparent about it. And so everyone knows who's getting paid off of the gigs. Everyone knows what the rates of producers are. All producers get a particular rate. And I see this as just the beginning. Like, we are just tapping the surface with the work that we have ahead. And I believe that this is going to be an ongoing thing that we have to do. We constantly have to kind of audit our equality, if you will. Thank you, Becky, for that question. I hope I answered it. It was a bit long-winded. Another question from Sylvana here at Capital Factory. She asks, when walking into a room full of investors, what is the biggest concern you have? At this point in time, the biggest concern I have is they might not be the right audience. And I say that because I'm used to auditioning. I know what it's like to walk into a room full of people who are about to judge you and determine whether or not you get hired. It happens several times a week for me. I often get no's. I often get yeses. It's amazing. And those yeses indicate to me that everybody who was in the room on that day was the right mix of people. But sometimes, yes, I do walk into an audition and I can sense that I'm not necessarily in the space that I need to be in. And that in that scenario, it's just like, I never feel that any opportunity to act is a waste. Anytime I get to do my craft, I love it. So maybe this is not the best analogy, but I guess in the relation to pitching and walking into an investor room, I'm going to take that completely back, because actually I'm going to change my mind. If they are not suited, that's exciting, because then that means I have a challenge and the opportunity to now flip some of their answers and wow them and surprise them and shock them and take them from a place of not knowing to knowing. So my biggest concern when walking into a room full of investors would be that I have to poop or something. No, I'm kidding. Biggest concern walking into a room full of investors, that I won't be understood and they won't have the opportunity to benefit from what I've created. I'm concerned for them. Yeah. Another question from Capital Factory, and the final question of our podcast today, from Marianne. She asks, what was your aha? I love this question because this memory is actually pretty crystal clear for me. We had been spending several months working through some research and development for Blended Sense. We were servicing lots of different kinds of creative people, providing a ton of services on our menu. Just trying to figure out, we have an idea, we know there's something here, what is it? And again, questions. These are the catalysts of our lives when we have these unanswered things pulling on our heart that we have to go figure out. This determines our trajectory of where we're going to go. And it's exciting to answer questions. It's exciting to have questions. If you don't have questions, it means you're not engaged. You're not uncomfortable enough. You're not out of your skill set enough. You need some questions so you can create that golden space of opportunity to improve, or opportunity of discovery, of finding an answer. So the aha moment came from this full summer of research and development, asking ourselves, what have we created? What is this thing? We don't know really how to describe it yet, but we sense there is something there. And what we did was we sat on our bed with a whiteboard and we worked through just kind of these whys. And we just kept refining them until we got clearer and clearer and clearer on this sort of proposition value statement. And it was that statement that we finally went, that's what Blended Sense is. Oh my God. So that was our aha. All right. Well, that was another episode of Tea with Abbie, episode number 9. Can you believe it? Thank you so much to our callers who called in today for your thoughtful questions, and to my friends at Capital Factory. Hope you have a good one. What's our statement sip? Can't leave without that. Statement sip today is never stop asking the questions. Have a good day. Thanks so much for watching Tea with Abbie. Be sure to click subscribe and smack that like button so you can stay tuned. Smack that like button. See that like button? Smack it. Thanks so much for watching an episode of Tea with Abbie. Be sure to click subscribe and smack that like button so you can stay tuned with new episodes all year long. And if you want to learn more about Blended Sense, visit us at our website, www.blendedsense.com, or follow us on social at Blended Sense or at blendedsense.io. See you next week.